And what do MPs do in Parliament, especially that matters to young people?
You're right. This Lok Sabha is the oldest Lok Sabha. The average age in our country is 27 years, and the average age of MP in Lok Sabha is what 55. So this has to be changed, and only 13% of our MPs are under the age of 40. Now, having said this, it is a huge responsibility on the members of Parliament because if India's 50% of population are under the age of 25 and 16% of educated youth are unemployed, the CMI says that we have highest unemployment of 7.38%. Market research companies have said that more than 7 lakh people have been laid off in IT sector. 1/3 of non-workforce would be laid off by 2022. I feel this is a huge challenge for all the MPs, ruling party, whoever it is, to address this great issue.
Kavita, if you could address a couple of these points, but also look at yet another point. You sit in the south. You also sit in a very rich city. Now, we were just looking at data. In fact, TN has an article that we published today, where he says that a state like Madhya Pradesh has more population than Telangana and Andhra combined, but some 12 or 13% of their tax base. So there is a lot of regional imbalance in India. The flip side of it is that states in the south have been able to control their population growth. So you are not adding the numbers, whereas the Hindi heartland and states in the east, which are not growing, are adding the numbers. So there are lot more young people coming up there who don't have jobs. There are a lot more old people coming up in the south. So two things. One, national resources, if they are divided on the basis of numbers, then states that are not doing very well are getting more money. And second, 2026, when once again you look at the distribution of constituencies, and that is on the basis of population, then you could face a situation that seats, south will lose the seats, and states which are not doing very well will add the seats, the political power balance will shift. Do you see a situation arising when young people of the north and the south are at odds with each other?
As of now, even in Parliament, we see this discussion often, that south versus north bias is there, whereas south contributes more to the GDP of the nation and north takes a greater chunk because the population is more. But then I don't look at it that way. We are a nation as a whole, and I think the people sitting in the power at the center should look at the nation as a whole and look at the distribution system, which can be just and fair to everybody. And yes, when it comes to political power and when it comes to distribution of member of parliaments and the seats, I think that time it should be thought in a different lines. But when it comes to feeding the poor, when it comes to addressing the unemployment issues, when it comes to addressing the education, health issues, I think it should be as a one nation philosophy. But then, you know, India is huge and each of our state is probably the size of Australia or even bigger. I think Telangana is pretty much about the population of Australia. So in that sense, in that terms, I think I was hearing your initial remarks, and we should really focus inwards and work on developing the infrastructure. And as you rightly said, today we are the youngest nation, but I'll make an observation, Shekharji, and we should all really look forward to working on this. Today we are younger, but then within 30 years we'll be the oldest nation in the world. So right now, if we don't form a geriatric ministry and start working towards these policies, tomorrow we'll all be in huge mess. As we see, you know, we can't address the youth problems now. 30 years later, we will not be able to address the senior citizens' problems. So policy making should be wholesome. Policy making should be futuristic. And when it comes to states, I believe I should like to think as an Indian first, feed the hungry people, then think about the states.